This is the Okeanos Explorer.
Next hour and a half is actually turning towards the northwest.
Chris, I'm getting
No.
Webb overriding you on much of the party line. I'm sure this is part of the practice for today.
Okay. Very good, Paul. Pilot, this is watch lead. What we're doing today is we're actually just going to be flying. What we're looking for is we're navigating by the waypoints on the high pack. We're reconstructing where a tow cam came through as best we can. So what we're actually looking for, first of all, are worm tubes. Remember the tube worms we saw, the long white stringy things? We have a reporting that there's something like that between here and the Von Damm site. And once we get between here and HYB1, it may be at HYB1 in particular, but it's somewhere between here and there is where we're hoping to look for those things. So a bit like when we were on survey mode when we first arrived in this area, we want to drive Sirius in a straight line, and if you can slalom as best you're able to cover the ground to left and right as we go. Leave no grain of sediment untouched. Thank you very much. That's great, thank you, Tom. So I think plan a ship move to head towards HYB1, please. No. Program. His best guess or best estimate of where the worm tube sightings was 400 meters south-southeast of the Von Damme Spire along this topographic spur. So that's exactly where we're starting. And then we're heading back towards points that we were able to pick from the cruise report from the UK cruise last April. So we are now heading, we have about 400 meters to run total along here. About 200 meters will get us to the HYB1, or 150 meters to HYB1. The ship's ready, Sirius is ready, navigators just check the pilots are ready. So here we go. You can feel the acceleration. We're pushing back in the chair as we're coming up to 0.2 knots. Pushing back the frontiers of science at 1/4 mile an hour. So here's the ship move is in. We are setting off on a heading of 005 degrees over a distance of 120 meters at a speed of 0.2 knots. There's a holothurin just disappearing out of the field of view, and we're driving over 100% sediment cover. Looks like quite a thick drape of biogenic carbonate, and the mottling effect is, well, I don't know. Could either be phytodetritus is causing the darker stuff, or it's just bioturbation and burrowing is stirring it up, but that's basically the mottling effect, is biological activity down here at a depth of 2,400 meters on the deep Caribbean seafloor. So in fact, the vehicle here is almost due east. In fact, we're due east right now. So the ROV is looking east. We can see the hill dropping away that way, and also down towards the southeast. And the reason we're doing this looking around here, if you feel we're not making any progress, there's actually a certain amount of inertia that when you start a ship moving at a quarter of a knot, a quarter of a mile an hour, which is, for the record, about 450, 500 meters in an hour. So we're not really in the Olympic speeds here. Moving very cautiously over the seafloor, because hanging beneath the ship we have about 2,500 meters of cable, thick cable, which actually provides all the power and the telemetry down a fiber optic cable from the ship down to the Sirius vehicle. And then that has its little 100-foot umbilical that goes from the Sirius vehicle down to Little Herc. So you can see Little Herc in the Sirius camera feed. You can see the umbilical actually has the little patches of reflected tape on it. That's basically what provides the lifeblood from the electricity and the optical fibers and the telecommunications from our ship up here at 2,500 meters all the way down. But when we start the ship moving, of course, there's the drag of 2.5 kilometers of cable, which also has to move through the water before Sirius starts moving. Of course, once we do start moving, then it's very hard to stop again. But in the meantime, while we've been waiting, we've had Little Herc just have a look around as far as it can to the end of its tether in all directions. Point
Chris,
two.
I mostly just hear you. I can sort of hear someone else, but mostly just you.
Navis watch lead. I'm not sure which one of you guys is the one that worries most about the sonar, but just to know we probably wouldn't expect to see any sonar targets until we get to the main spire today.
Chris, I understand Dave Billett's in the access grid room at NOC, so with a bit of luck we'll get some accurate IDs on these holothurians.
Nav, just so you know, these are interesting to see for the benthic biologists, but they're not the hydrothermal things we're chasing after, so you can hang out and look at them by all means if you're waiting for Sirius. Otherwise, let's just keep moving up the world. Don't stop for anything other than a tube worm or active fluid flow. How about that for guidance? Maybe a shrimp. Navis watch lead. I'm not sure which one of you guys is the one that worries most about the sonar, but just to know, we probably wouldn't expect to see any sonar targets until we get to the main spire today.
Chris, I understand Dave Billett's in the access grid room at NOC, so with a bit of luck we'll get some accurate IDs on these holothurians.
Nav, just so you know, these are interesting to see for the benthic biologists, but they're not the hydrothermal things we're chasing after, so you can hang out and look at them by all means if you're waiting for Sirius. Otherwise, let's just keep moving up the world. Don't stop for anything other than a tube worm or active fluid flow. How about that for guidance? Maybe a shrimp. And I hear we have viewers all the way across the Atlantic today, and a renowned holothurian expert, Dave Billett, is in the room in Southampton. He's probably waxing lyrical, and he can send a message to Paul to tell us exactly what species that was, what its sister's name was, and what it likes to do at the weekends. He knows holothurians so well. And if you have the videos feed in Southampton of what's happening in the control room, Dave, this wave's for you. Hi, Dave Billett. That's correct, Bobby. We need to cover the ground today. So if you see things look like fluid flow, we'll stop and look at those. Otherwise, we just need to keep moving. So there's a scar in the sediment there. The vehicle right now is on a heading of 090 degrees, depth of 2398 meters. Can't help wondering whether that's an anthropogenic. Well, I don't know. We can actually see that scar disappearing off some distance ahead in the field of view. Deep little scar.
It's a really interesting feature, Chris. I have no idea what's caused that.
I wonder whether it's a slump feature in the sediment and whether that's about to let go and slide down the hillside. The first part looked very fresh and very sharp. I almost wondered whether or not it hadn't been the Hibis TV grab when it had been through here and touched bottom, and we were definitely on the trail and knew we were heading the right way. But
or could be an Alvin skid mark.
I don't think Alvin's been here. I'm shouting all the way across the Atlantic here, so I'll keep doing my best.
I'm not picking Bobby up though, Chris.
Say again, please, Paul.
I'm not picking Bobby up. I'm not sure if they're saying anything, but they might be very quiet at URI this morning after being up with a fire alarm. So I'm not picking much up or anything up from there at all.
No, but she's instant messaging. They can hear us loud and clear. Maybe they're just on mute.
Go ahead.
And maybe they're just not that excited about biogenic carbonate. I bet we'll hear her if we see a rock.
We're very excited about it, Chris. Don't let our silence mean anything.
Got you there, beautiful Bobby.
Bridge, ROV now. Bridge has answered you twice now. Go ahead, Bridge. Let's go video.
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to add 35 meters to the current ship move, please.
All right, 35 meters.
Thank you very much.
Just so you know, we've now completed our first ship move, and we're still over biogenic carbonate. Not much sign of anything else. We definitely know we're by slaloming to side, we know we're definitely along the top of this spur. So geographically we're in the right location. In terms of what we're seeing on the seafloor, we're not seeing the super exciting stuff we were hoping to today. So since we're in reconnaissance mode, we're just going to keep moving. So the ship is continuing north at 0.2 knots. And if you're wondering why it is, we're conveying a sense of urgency of how fast we're trying to move today and cover the ground, and yet we're getting a good video, or pull ahead, and every now and then we just have to tell the pilot to come to heel, and we have a rock. Now we're going to hear the guys from Rhode Island. Let's take a look at that rock, please.
We're very excited about the rock.
Pilot, can we just get the lasers on for that for a moment, and maybe zoom in on the darkest point of that rock? And Bobby, if you'd like us to pan either way, look around some more, just let us know. Maybe we could zoom out a little video, please, if you're listening. And that's good, thank you. And for those of you in the front row, Bobby had just asked where are the rocks 60 seconds before you found that one for her. So she immediately messaged separately to say thank you. You guys are efficient.
Chris, there seems to be quite a lot of particles in the water column. Is that generated by the ROV, or do you think that's natural?
I think
ROV now, bridge.
I think that is ROV. They just appeared just at that moment as we zoomed in on that site.
Thank
so
you.
it may also be a function of the... that's interesting. Very good. Yep, that's ROV dust. The heading right now is 040 degrees. So you can see actually there's more of those rocks along that heading. So that's running southwest to northeast. And you'd almost believe there's an offset down to the left. So that would be... you wonder why it is there's a linear array of rocks sticking up through the sediment. Okay, yeah, there are some rocks off to the left, so that would break down the prejudice I was about to come up with, which was that maybe this was fault related, that there was something that was running from northeast to southwest. That would actually be orthogonal to the line of the spur that we're driving along. Go ahead, Nav. Okay, then let's program in the next move along towards wherever the next waypoint is. HYB2. Very good, and if we can make sure we drive the ROV through the HYB1 location, please.
Copy that. I'll talk to the pilots.
Thank you.
Pilots will be approaching the HYB1 waypoint and watch the vector.
Try to go through it as much as possible. Copy nav.
ROV nav bridge.
Go ahead, bridge.
Yeah, we're all
Cube
stopped.
above anemone, they're telling me.
Pilot or video, could
Pan the camera up.
if we could zoom on the anemone above the shrimp,
Oh.
please. Left of the laser, left of the left laser dot, right there, bottom of the field.
Jill, come over here. Hang on. Someone here thinks they see a tube.
And pilot, if you can hang out, somebody thinks they've seen a tube. Maybe we need to zoom out.
Can you, yeah, just zoom out a little bit. We're looking above the anemone. Right.
Come wide
okay.
and look above the anemone, please.
I think that's the consensus. That's a regular polychaete. Okay. Keep moving. False alarm.
Okay, we're ready to keep moving. Thanks, pilot. Is that okay? Was I alright with it? Is it alright like that, or? I liked actually having the... I preferred actually having a good navigation view for this.
Get the next shipment underway. If you continue your current heading, pilot, you should pass right through the HYB1 waypoint.
It's actually a...
Yes, go ahead.
We'd like to put in the next ship move, please.
All right.
70 meters due north at 0.3 knots.
70 meters, bearing 000 at 0.2 knots.
Perfect.
All right, starting now.
Thank you, bridge.
Sure.
We can see a lot more rock exposed on the top of this ridge now as we're moving to the north and west. And what I find particularly encouraging about that is that this is the... we're unlikely to have sites of active fluid flow in places. Oh, there we have shimmering water dead ahead. Right in the zoom there. Let's... Nav, this is watch leader. Can we drop a waypoint here, please?
That's fantastic. Just suddenly come up on it like this.
As Paul said, we've just been driving along. As soon as we see bare rock, there's fluid flow coming up through it. I'm not sure how much time we have here. Looks like Sirius is already getting ahead of Little Herc. Nav, if you could confirm when you've dropped the waypoint and give us a marker number, please.
Copy that, watch lead.
You need the number for the waypoint.
We do. If anybody's keeping a note from back home and can remind me exactly what we would expect from the science party of the next number to be.
I think it's 38, but check with Nav.
39. I'm going to go ahead and drop NCR 39 on there.
Very good, Nav.
Can you pan a little bit to the left?
It's 0.
Is it 38, Chris?
For every listener at home, we have dropped marker 039. We were not sure, so we figured to be unambiguous, we'd rather drop a marker than have two marker 38s. We're having to move on, I'm afraid. The combination of ship speed and
Bridge RV now.
Sirius is not allowing us to stop and dwell there.
Yes, go ahead.
Could
But
we
we definitely
decrease the
saw
ship speed to
shimmering
0.2
fluid.
knots, please?
.2 knots. Yeah,
What's
we're
absolutely
doing
remarkable
.2.
there is the very first
Oh,
place that we
okay,
saw
perfect.
Right.
rock exposure becoming more prevalent.
Dave,
We found fluid flow as well as soon as we stopped and looked in detail.
There's a miscommunication. Okay. Would you like to slow down further or maintain speed? No, we'll probably just have to get out of that a little bit so we can have more time. Sounds good.
But I think this is
Hold
what
on, we
she's-
think people think they see mussel shells down and to the left there in the sand. Mussels.
Okay,
Those are mussels.
there are mussel shells down in the sand. Left or right of the lasers, Bobby?
Well, we've passed it now. It was to the left.
Okay, we're just going to try and back up if we can, please, pilot. There we go.
Yeah, right there in the center of the screen, bottom.
Nav, can we drop a
Very-
separate marker here, please?
Your lasers are just about on it, right now. Drop a waypoint here.
Nav, can you confirm that is marker 040?
040, confirmed.
Very good. So that's marker 040, everybody. We have mussel shells. I'm not sure we're going to be able to hang out long here either. So feast your eyes. I only see dead organisms. I don't see any live. I see dead shells rather, not live organisms.
They look well buried as well, Chris, as though they've been there for some time.
Good observation, Paul. But it does show that makes you think that there must be things happening. Okay, we have to keep moving, I'm afraid. Hope you enjoyed the moment. And we have dropped the marker. We know this is here. We know where to come back to.
Bit of speculative thinking here, Chris. Do you think this entire ocean core complex is just a giant sponge holding?
So, pilot, if we can just zoom on that white tube.
Let's slow the ship to .1. Copy that, David. Bridge RV now.
That looks the business.
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to request a ship speed decrease to 0.1 knots, please.
.1.
Yes, sir.
Roger that.
Thank you, Rich.
And I think we better drop another waypoint here, I'm afraid.
Yeah, waypoint 41.
Copy, that is waypoint 41.
Thank you, Nav. That's confirmed. That's marker 041, a tube worm, or at least a worm tube. We are now at a water depth of 236. We saw that worm tube. Pilot, can we look at that white shaft right just at the bottom left corner of your screen right now? Is that more mussels?
More tubes. More tubes to the left.
Let's have a look at these shells first and then move up to the white tubes ahead, please. Can you confirm these are different shells from the ones we looked at previously? I think we moved the
Yes,
vehicle.
they are.
Yes, these are different shells than the ones we were looking at.
Thank you, Bobby. And I think let's go look at those live worms while we get the chance.
Come on, please.
Can we see any shimmering water anywhere at all?
I don't see any shimmering water yet, but as we get closer, maybe we can zoom in on that.
Chris, just to give you a heads up, I'm about to lose my feed here. There is some interference on the screen and they're coming to fix it, so I might be out the loop for a few minutes, or maybe longer.
So we'd be moving towards this tube. Come wide.
And there we're just panning across from the mussel shells to this little white tube directly ahead.
Chris, the MCR 042.
Yep, and Nav, can you confirm this is MCR 042?
That is correct. Would you like me to make a note of what is here?
Lots of
We've got it.
mussels
We got live worms, yeah.
and these worms.
Anybody else who has comments to add, please put them in the event log right now. And we have marker 42 is entered. We have it time-stamped. Put in your observations, and then we can do the ship moves that we need to do over here. We're going to have to move off, let the ship settle down, and then we'll come back, but we've got the marker dropped. That's the main thing, is the RV can re-find itself on the seafloor, and we can take some time to look around here.
Sounds good. People.
With the ROV, or whether we need to double back on the ship as well to get back to the worms, but
What's all that
like
white dead ahead, Chris?
that's almost certainly...
It's like white staining on rocks.
White
Lots
staining
and
is
lots of
almost certainly
tubes here.
fluid flow and microbial stuff. I should imagine Julie Hoover's going to get excited.
Yeah, we need another
Now,
waypoint here.
Nav, if we can
This will
drop
be
another waypoint
043.
here, please. It'll be marker 043.
Copy that. Well, actually, I wanted to let you know I found a note in the nav log. It looks like MCR 38 would have been the first one. I can either renumber them or...
Definitely gastropods.
Let's leave the numbering as it is, and we just make a note that there is no marker 38. I think we have too many entries in the event log now. We don't want to cause confusion.
Sounds good.
My apologies for that. I'll make sure I know at the start of each dive in future what the next waypoint number will be.
Not a problem.
This looks like the densest patch of worms we've seen anywhere so far on this cruise.
Thinking the rock looks.
Had more of everything than any one other location I've seen lately. So since we're getting the ships...
We agree.
Okay.
I'm up for that as well, Chris.
Pilot and nav, if we have one place we can stop and study in detail, it would be at marker 43, please.
Looks like a mussel graveyard here. It's amazing.
Chris, we just restarted the real-time navigation.
There's also some tubes buried in there with those dead mussels.
So interestingly, anybody who's looking at the high-pack navigation, the marker 43 is actually north of the marker 42, which is the place that made us stop the ship and want to go back. So that's also probably a timely reminder for all of us that if marker 43 looked more interesting than the other places, that's just the furthest north we've been so far. So let's go look at marker 43 and put in the high-pack navigation. It looks like that is... I don't know, I'd have to work out.
Marker 43. We'll need nav to tell us which direction we're heading.
I realised, Chris, that when we arrived here, we thought we had a fairly tightly constrained vent system, and this really is expanding it out in quite a large direction.
That's absolutely right, Paul. We're struggling to find places that don't have interesting activity. So interestingly, where the ROV is right now is a place that coincides with where there were EH hits from an autosub survey from the James Cook Cruise 44 in 2010. Apparently chemistry is a wonderful thing, but I would say that as a geochemist.
Now, Chris, could you remind us who wrote those papers that said that...
Bring your lasers around. Yeah. Some of our colleagues at the Max Planck Institute in Bremen, that they've also found some that they've been working on from a hydrothermal site, which is all the way across the far side of the Atlantic on Marsili Seamount off the coast of Italy. So, apart from that one little seamount in Italy and, well, large parts of the Pacific Ocean, obviously, where there are hydrothermal vents, but in terms of this side of the Americas, it's basically this site here that we know about, and over on the far side of the Atlantic in the Mediterranean.
Are we
a
not
unique
bridge?
find. We
Go
already
ahead,
knew we were
Bridge.
excited about the
Yes,
ship.
we
finding on
finished
this
our
trip,
move.
but now we're going
Thank
to get a
you.
chance
Right.
to look at what's happening with the tube worms.
Ship movers to pick pilots. Might just be a minute for you guys to settle out.
Chris, I've just been checking it out on the other screen in the dry lab. Have we been in to see if we can see any tentacles or obturaculum at all?
We haven't done any of that yet, Paul, I'm afraid. We had to move stop the ship first of all, then we've had to move the ship back to actually get close enough. So we're just now approaching the pilots haven't actually been
A
asking
nice
for any
blue patch
instructions
there.
yet. We're at the stage
Is
where
there shimmery flow in that white patch there in the center of the screen?
there almost certainly will be. The pilots haven't invited me to do anything yet. They're just getting themselves settled out. We're trying to get the ship and Sirius and the vehicle all in one happy place, and then we're going to spend some quality time here. But the white flow you can see, wherever you can see the little bright white patches around the rocks, that is almost certainly microbial filaments that are growing there, and the only reason they're growing there is because they're bathed in active fluid flow, so when we zoom in, we'll be able to see those things.
What a fantastic spot.
It looks like there is definitely shimmering flow by the white patching of those rocks we just panned to the left of, but I would also think it's important to actually get confirmation of the living tube worms, so like Paul was saying, any proof that they're there, because this patch could potentially be very valuable.
For those of you in Rhode Island, if you can actually type in the request into the instant messaging, that'll actually be the most efficient thing to do next, I think. And Paul, if you continue to sing out for biological things.
Gotcha, Chris.
Very good, Bobby. Just up from those lasers, I think that square brown block with the white filament around it, just to the right of that. So straight up from your left laser right now. And hopefully this setup will also be good for looking at the tube worms around here later as well.
Chris, you see those shrimp?
No, I don't see shrimp. Tell me where you see the shrimp.
Your lasers they're to the left and up of your lasers. There's a square block
The square
with
block
about 6 or 7 shrimp swarming
good.
around it.
Very good. That square block is where I was driving video to head forward for a zoom.
Shrimp and tube worms at the same vent, and gastropods.
And really interesting chemistry as well, don't forget. And that's right, so those looking at home, I think, well, you probably heard it on the party line already from Bobby. Can you zoom out, please?
Chris, I'm pretty sure I can see the obturaculum in the tube worm that's more or less in the center of the screen.
Okay, pilot, if we come up to the tubes just above the shimmering flow, center up, we think we can see a little bit of the red sticking out from the tubes. Let's zoom here. Or is that at the end of a oh yeah, there we go. Just to the right there, the tube to the right, halfway up, right-hand side. If we can
Gotcha. Oh, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant.
pan a little right, maybe we can get that in the center. Let's get the tube worm on one side and the shrimp on the other. And of course, many, many gastropods. Nav, can I just check we are still at MCR 043?
That is correct, Marcy. Hold on, video. There we go.
I'm reminded of a phrase I was taught when I first came here on the RV Cape Hatteras. When we first started exploration of the Mid-Cayman Rise, just doing C to D casts for the first couple of weeks. And even then I could get excited about just seeing the plume signals. So in tribute to Tina, who used to run the CTD, all I can say here is sweet, sweet chicken feet. This is just awesome. If there's anybody who's not happy watching this, you may not have a soul.
Chris, Lee's just raised a good point on Skype. We don't know of any sites where there are hydrothermal shrimp, actually that are can see chemosynthetic, as well as hydrothermal tube worms. If anyone knows better, let us know.
There's a challenge, Paul. But tell him to send answers on
We're
a
in
postcard.
agreement.
Did Jameson phone Cindy yet and get her out of her director meetings?
That's correct. Oh, just one name yet.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen around the world, I'm ready for you to start typing in your requests for what else you'd like us to look at. But I think that was a pretty good start. We saw active fluid flow, we saw shrimp, live tube worms and gastropods all hanging out together.
Did we get a really exact fix on this spot? I know it was number 43, but did we get? We've moved a little bit.
We're sitting nice and stable, and Nav have been able to confirm on 2 separate occasions we are right on the MCR043 station.
Thanks, Chris.
So right now, so everybody knows, we're actually letting the guys, the professional cameramen here we have out on the Okeanos Explorer, enjoy themselves getting some very beautiful video for us right now. We can see shrimp here swimming around in the crevices in this fluid. I've just this moment thought to check the temperature. The temperature on the ROV is 4.2 degrees, but of course we're keeping well back. It's just the zoom on the camera that's allowing you to have these close-up feeds. And we've seen, what have we seen? We see the shrimp here in the fluid flow. It's just, we'll see lasers come into view as we pan out probably. Or we can check that in a moment for the exact size. From memory, I think that brown square block in the center of the field of view is about 10 centimeters across. Ha, I said that just in time. Those are the two red laser dots that are 10 centimeters apart. So that gives you an idea there. Over that scale, it's probably less than a meter field of view in that photograph. There's a squat lobster, tube worms, some broken mussel shells by the look of it on the left. At some point we should have a look just off to the left of the screen now. There's something brown and smooth sticking out amongst the rocks. Is it going to be too much for me to ask that would be live Bathmodiolus mussels as well? At some point this site has to stop giving, but apparently it's not going to do it just yet. Just above the right laser dot as well, the far side of the block. Oh no, maybe that's a shrimp. Maybe there's a shrimp.
Hey guys, before we leave this location, before we move the vehicle, I want to turn the lasers off and get some really good video with science system.
That's a dead Bathmodiolus shell, I suspect.
It's a dead shell. Okay. So, biologists, I'm ready to take your requests in my earpiece as well. I don't see a lot of typing going on. It seems like everybody's
It's
just
very
enjoying the
nice.
video.
There's another shrimp other than Rimicaris there. Looks like an Alvinacaris with a long rostrum.
Paul, would you like us to look at some more of these tube worms?
Have time, it's worth looking. Just they come out quite a way, so it'd be interesting to see if we've got any that are well extended. We've only seen one so far at that first site on dive 3 that was really well extended.
And would that be your priority here of any one thing, if we had one more thing we could do here?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, pilot, what we'd really like to do as well, I know we want to get some good video for you guys as well, but if we get the chance to turn around and see if you can see a live one. Or rather, not a live one, but an active one that's out to play.
Look, pilot, while we're here, before we move off, let's turn the lasers off. Let's get some real good close-up video, and then we'll turn the lasers back on and move around a little bit and see if we can find some additional live tubes.
Chris, here's a question for you and to the geologists. Do you think this might be the first stage of venting or the last stage?
Wait one, Paul.
Say again?
Wait one moment, please.
Will.
Just a couple.
Just so you know, guys, we're just taking the time with the video team. Want to actually make sure they've got some very good video of this area before we move the vehicle anywhere else. That was a nice setup, so let's just sit back and enjoy that. And the
Roger that.
question for Paul of, is this early stages or late stages of venting or right in the middle? Yeah, my best guess would be one of those three. But I will keep thinking about it, and you know me, within 5 minutes I'll have a plausible argument for one of those.
I'll wait.
Once I start, you won't be able to stop me.
Would we like to zoom up and focus on these ones before the zoom out there? Let's go nice and smooth all the way out, and then we'll adjust the camera up a little bit. Roger that. Okay, one more shot. Go all the way in. We'll adjust the camera up a little bit. We'll do that one more time with the keys. Also the worm right there is based off the one just went out of view. Oh, yep, there's one there too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll adjust up.
For reference, this is exactly what the biologist wanted as well, was to go from front to back end.
Let's get a good shot of this guy. Very nice.
Oh, that one shows the opteraculum beautifully. Really, really nice. It's almost coming out.
Start here, back up to another stage, back up to another.
Okay, let's back out in 2 stages. We'll back out nice and easy to about a medium, and then we'll hold there for a little bit, and then we'll back out completely. Good, right there.
On that one top dead centre, I think you can see the abdomen, or the what's called the trunk, that houses all the chemosynthetic bacteria.
Can you say that again, Paul, so I can type it into the event log?
There is a tube worm posterior end, top dead centre of that image, running north and then slightly off to 11 o'clock, and there's a wavy line in the centre of it that I think might be the abdomen. I think it's a fairly clear tube.
So that dark discoloration then would be the bacteria. You can actually see through
No,
that?
it actually looks white.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So there is. Yep. Right. So in fact, we were just pointing out that in the very center of that field of view on a crack. Yes. So we actually have multiple tube worms alive there. We can see, from here we can confirm we can see 3 separate tube worms. The one we were zoomed in on, one in the cracks behind that, just withdrew. It actually just shot back in the crack in the center, and off to the right there's one sticking straight up, basically on the equator of the field of view, 80% of the way across to the right, which is its little tentacle sticking out the top.
Okay, you can come out. seconds here. Let's pick up and just scout around in very close proximity and see if we can find a few more that are obviously active.
Okay, guys. So as we approach this point, I just went for the first little bit of white filamentous bacteria, and we found all that stuff when we stopped and looked closely. What we haven't done is actually looked around the rest of this field yet. There are a lot of live tube worms everywhere. You can see in the serious view there's probably plenty to be seen as well. So what we're going to do is have the pilot just lift up now, have a look around and see for some more worms. Pilots, you know what the biologists are looking for in particular would be somewhere where we can actually scan along the length of a tube worm from its anterior end, the bit where it comes out the tube, right through to its posterior end where it disappears into the ground to see exactly what it's doing, whether it's in the crevices between the rocks, whether it's found some sediment to suck into. They're interested in how they're functioning. Can we have the lasers back on very briefly so we can get an idea of density? So now we have a field of view here. The lasers show us 10 centimeters for scale. For recording, we have a lot of tube worms in view here. If somebody can put that in the event log, we can come up with population density later.
Right in this general vicinity. So push your head a little bit. And then
That grey discoloration on the top left is probably worth bearing in mind for future, because wherever you see that kind of grey colour, that's more likely where the active fluid flow is, and life seems to follow that.
a little bit of the wave. Maybe tilt your camera up a little bit and zoom out him anyhow. Okay, come on in on the zoom. So he's definitely alive.
Absolutely. What we'd like to get for the biologists would be to do a zoom that went from the front end of this worm right through to the back end, to see where it's anchored in the root, which is disappearing off the top of the screen now, please. Actually, that's probably two different tube worms, right? They're both got their ends out.
And the one that's intertwined down at the bottom of the frame is also sticking out a bit. See?
There's a siphon there, bottom left corner. Can we zoom on that? I see a little clear tube on the very left corner of the screen. I think that's going to be a live mussel down in there. If we pan left, please. Can you guys at home see that? The center, the bottom left of the screen? There's a clear
Yeah, we
tube
see
still
it.
through the cracks.
Debating what it is.
Isn't that a siphon? Could that be a siphon? There's a mussel down in that crack? Or am I just being a geologist talking about biology now?
Maybe. Hard to say would be the conclusion here.
Okay, all the geologists in the house, wave your arms. That's what we do. Okay, thank you guys. Yeah, that was speculative. Let's get back to what the guys actually asked us to do instead. Worth checking out though, at least we've got it documented on the video. So the view we'd like is the pan along the length of one of these tube worms, please. And if you have anyone around,
Go ahead, William.
and if you have anyone around on the line who knows about tube worms, does anybody know how long these things are? Or more to the point, how long does it take for them to grow?
Some of the species along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge can extend up to.
Are there any of the, like the Wandafuka Ridge vent tube worms, the little thin
They
skinny
look a
ones?
lot more like the seep worms.
Okay, so then the centimeters a year is probably not a bad starting point for an estimate.
Right, and just to make it clear, there's no tube worms in the Mid-Atlantic.
Correct. The nearest worms in this side of the Panama Canal are on the Marcili Seamount, are the only ones we know about for things living in a hydrothermal environment. But of course the cold seep tube worms live just around the corner, just the other side of Cuba on the Gulf of Mexico. And of course they may well live in many other places we haven't explored between here and there as well.
Okay, I think we have this. Let's back out and kind of look around a little bit more. One more time.
Yep. And Paul Tyler and the other biologists, are you happy that we got the anterior to posterior view of that tube worm? And if you don't mind, guys, I know this is beautiful, but we haven't actually got up to where we thought was going to be interesting yet today. Between here, then again, I could just be sitting at home and doing this as well, right? Like everybody else on the planet.
All right, video, can we start zooming in a little bit, see if we can find one of these guys open?
Just above the laser dot, is that one out? The bottom right one there? Actually, the one on the left you can see beautifully end on. There's two there, yeah, let's just pan left. If we pan left, we've got a shrimp there and two tube worms we can see end on.
Yeah, as you can see, the obturaculum,
They're all
really
out
easily.
today. Wow. Bunch of flowers. And I get paid to do this, right? Awesome. I know. Sheesh. I should save this day for a weekend. I just feel sorry for them in Australia. They're probably asleep right now.
Yeah, we can go in on
We are having
probably stable.
huge amounts of fun. Dave, how much time do we have here, really?
Oh, not as set as I'd like to be, but I think anything else is going to throw me really far off.
I'm sorry, did you call me Dave?
Yeah, could you do a calculation and see how long it's going to take us to get over to
Yeah,
the sky?
I have that pulled up already. If we were to go over all the waypoints that we have designed, it would take just over 30 minutes at 0.2 knots.
Just over 30 minutes.
That's correct.
Okay,
Okay, roger that.
it's going to be time to get moving. Okay, everybody.
Just saw a
Just,
scale worm there, Chris.
Say again, please, Bobby.
This is Julie. We just saw a scale worm in view.
A scale worm. Left, right. Give
But
me
we
some
are in
directions.
agreement that it's it just ducked out of view.
Did you want to go up
Where?
again?
Come wide,
What is really nice, Chris, there's absolutely no doubt all of those are alive and healthy.
Okay, we just saw another siphon in the crack there, and the other thing we've seen is a scale worm in this field of view. I don't know if we can just pan in a little bit and just zoom back in one more time in a moment.
Yeah, Watson, any idea where it is so I can help try to line it up?
Yeah, you see the square block right in front of you?
Huh?
The siphon is at the bottom of that, and I think the scale worm is at the top of that square block. So if we zoom in right on this center, but maybe half this field of view, don't zoom in all the way.
Go ahead, video.
Julie, sing out if we've got the scale worm or which way we need to go to see it. Stop there, please. The siphon is at the bottom, just behind the tube worm, right underneath the shrimp right now. There's a little one of those
The
clear
scale worm
tubes.
is crawling.
Go ahead.
Sorry, the scale worm is crawling on the tube from just above the siphon that could potentially be a mussel.
Okay, so is it the tube worm up and right from the siphon?
Sorry, it's in the crevice. It may not be in view anymore, not sure.
Okay, pilot, there's a tube worm in the crevice to the right where the siphon is, so I don't know if we can nudge a little bit to our right and then look back to the left inside that crevice where the tube worms are sticking out. Because I've only asked you...
It's going to be much more difficult without lateral motion.
I know I've only asked 5 impossible things so far today.
Crevice to the right, the vertical running crevice that the shrimp is kind of on the precipice of.
Very good. Yep, understood, Jameson. Thank you. We're not quite sure if we can make that move with the vehicle. We're going to try.
That's fine. Everyone in Rhode Island is in agreement to move on anyway.
Okay, very good. Okay, Bobby, don't sweat that one. We're going to move on. So, Navigator, can we start heading through the other waypoints, please, and see if we can find something interesting, because I'm getting bored of this now.
Roger that.
Tube worm, schmood worm.
Pilot, you're going to want to head west and north a little bit to go through HRB 2. It'll be about bearing 310 from where you are.
310. Alright.
And it should be about 15 meters ahead.
You know, and at this point, I owe an apology to
We're almost through it, yeah.
the late, great Douglas Adams,
So each side
because
is a little bit more
if we had got our marker waypoints right today, this would have been marker 42, which, as everyone knows, is the answer to everything. Beautiful shimmering flow just there. Can we get a zoom on the fly as we head out?
It's going to be approximately 330.
Yeah, this is an absolutely excellent site.
Can we get a quick zoom on that video before we head out, please?
Yep.
I'll get one right back.
Bouncing off something 1 second.
Here at Rhode Island, we've seen at least 20 confirmed living tube worms.
Okay, I hope everyone's remembering to type. I have to admit, remember I'm not paying a lot of attention to the event log today, but we do need to get all this documented, so everything you've seen, try and get it into the typed form as well, and we've got it captured for posterity and we don't forget it. Because when we find the trilobites in 100 meters, we're going to forget all about this site in a hurry if we're not careful. Though the underwater dinosaur is the one that I'm holding out for. I have the Wyoming t-shirt, now I want to see the real thing. Thank you, guys. That was absolutely fantastic. Thank you, you guys in the front row. Upward and onward. It's just stunning. So there we are. It is 16:43 UTC, 11:43 local time here aboard the Okeanos Explorer. We're broadcasting live from the seafloor on the Mid-Cayman Rise. Our vehicle is driving at a depth of 2375 meters on the seafloor, heading north on a bearing of 004 degrees. Now there's a big hole, and you can see it's lined with white around the dark rocks.
Yeah, we're trying to get to
That shimmering fluid.
12, 15 or 12.
Just prepare yourself, Chris. This will be MCR 044.
Roger that.
Now we have shrimp living in around that crater. You see to the right of the lasers there, and in all these crevices. So we had tube worms all over the place just now. Nav, we should drop a new marker point here, please. And this would be, I believe this should be MCR 044. So this is just crazy. We were sitting in a place and somebody said, so what kind of animals live around a hydrothermal site on the Mid-Cayman Rise? And if you went to marker 43, you'd say, well, the tube worms really like it. And we come here instead. We have more cracks in the rock. We have water flowing up through it. We have white filaments staining the walls of the rock. And then we have shrimp living in here in all the crevices. We had shrimp at the other place as well, but maybe we'll need to pan around in a moment and maybe there are tube worms here as well. But first impressions here is that the animals are...
The current one?
Pilot, what's
Sounds
that
good.
tall
We'll
thing
Chimney,
sticking
that's
up
a
from the
chimney,
that
Chris.
thing that
Okay,
looks like a
thanks.
giant chimney. Can we zoom on that, please, that structure? And let's get the latest on that. So now that is more like 50 centimeters across and a meter or so tall, and there's clear fluid coming out the top of it. Can we zoom on the top of that chimney, please?
Okay, go ahead, video.
There's active fluid flow. This has been around for a lot longer now. In fact, we've got it both sides. To the left, actually, can we pan left? That looks like darker fluid there. That is looking more like a black smoker. We're getting hotter.
Yep, come wide, video. I need to set up better if we're going to look for him.
Okay, but the top of that chimney will be something very good to look at the moment. The left hand, the gnarly one that's twisted.
Let me just set up a little bit better. Something a little more sturdy. Alright, video, you can move back in.
This must be one of the most remarkable dives I can ever remember. Now, is that wishful thinking? Is that just clear fluid and it's just we're looking out over a dark background?
Yeah, it kind of looks like we've got some shadow on that first one.
Right. Okay. I was getting ahead of myself there. I think that is just clear fluid.
Video, can you come wide? I can see if I
It does look hot.
But the gnarly chimney that it's growing, and it must have been hot to actually precipitate sulfite, assuming that is sulfidic material. And we're off again. Actually, Nav, can we drop a waypoint there, please? Nav, this is Watch Leader. Can we drop a waypoint at this chimney, please?
Alright, video, let's take another look at it from this side.
This should be MCR 046, I believe.
That is correct.
Okay, so dropping a waypoint here. MCR 046. It's focus fluid flow
So that's it from the meta view.
through a chimney. Okay, let me just look up from the typing. Yeah, if we can we zoom in any closer on that? I think what you're going to see is multiple little fingers that fluid's coming from. Multiple orifices. Look at those shrimp just hanging out in harm's way.
Are those filamentous bacteria as well there?
I believe that's what the white colouring probably is, yeah. But Julie will know better than me.
It appears to be flopping about in the turbulent water.
Video,
Okay,
watch
come
the
wide
video
again.
to come on.
Very good, pilot. Nav, can I confirm we dropped a marker there, please?
Wide video. Affirmative. 046.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much, Nav. So that was marked as white things are. I know we can't stop, but
Sure, watch
if we can work out.
slow fly over.
Very good. And Nav, if you could be ready to drop a marker if we get a call for it. Okay, sing out on the beach or pool if you...
It looks like a dead mussel.
mussel shells, yeah? Would you like a marker for dead mussel shells?
I'm not
They-
too fussed.
They don't cost anything. Yeah, if we could,
Okay, go ahead.
let's drop a marker here, please, Nav. This should be MCR 047. Thank you. Well, if Tim Shank was listening in, I know exactly what he'd be telling me now. In his authentic North Carolina accent, he'd be saying, "Life is like a box of chocolates." Sing along at home now. You never know what you're gonna get. I got the full assortment today, I think.
So, gentlemen, if we're going to be at this fire by 12:30 in order to have some setup time for pretty pictures, we pretty much have to continue assuming that
Very good. For those of you who can't hear it at home, just got my marching orders. We ain't stopping again before 12:30. We just need to keep moving now. So get ready to sing out when you need a marker, and we'll see what else we see on the way between here and there. But we haven't done badly today.
Spread out underneath here.
Please.
Yep, let's drop a marker as we fly over these tube worms. I know we can't stop, but when we're right overhead, let's drop a marker, please. So this is going to be marker 048.
Chris, these are really big tube worms, and they look very healthy.
Yep, that's marker 048. Many healthy tube worms. What a great day to go for a drive in the country.
That's just a little.
You know, I am beginning to worry that we only used 3 digits when we started our marker code. I hope we don't get past 999 before the end of the 10 dives. Go ahead, Nav.
Just want to let you know we're directly. This marker 48, was pretty much directly on top of HYB number 3.
Awesome. Okay. So, on the underside.
Nav bridge.
Correct.
Yeah,
This is
same
pretty
bearing,
old and crumbly
347.
stuff. Still tube worms inside here.
Okay, 80 meters, 347.
You know, are we just going to like spend the whole day trying to find a field of view that doesn't have a tube worm in it now? You know, there was a time back in 1994.
Chris, look at the size of that one. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, these are huge. Nav, how far have we moved since marker 48? Or more to the point, let's just drop a marker here. Let's make this marker 49 because these are huge. Nav, did you copy?
49 drop.
Thank you very much. Wow, yeah, those ones to the right. So that's marker 49. Well, they're either older or they're on steroids.
Oh,
By
this is
steroids, it could
quite
be
remarkable,
H2S.
Chris. This is just fantastic. You know,
Yeah, I'm close to speechless.
no, really?
Look at that serious image. It's absolutely amazing.
Good point, Julie. Yeah, the serious one, you can see down, you can see the tube worms, and actually, yeah, you can see the length of the tube worms is similar to the length of the ROV, which is what, 1.5, 2 meters long? I'm afraid my grin is getting so big we're going to have to get a bigger control room. It's going out the sides.
So you shouldn't be approaching this fire plant yet.
Just so you know, when we dropped that marker, we were on a depth of 2348. We were on a heading of 012 as we came up over that field.
Definitely pretty tight, but then lots of basalts also, and sort of this change.
Okay, everybody, I apologize for those of you who haven't heard anything from me and wondering what we're doing. We are basically proceeding up the steep slope of a conical mound, at the top of which is the central spire of the Von Damm hydrothermal field. We're currently at a depth of 2336 meters. We are heading north on a bearing of 352 degrees. We think we have a patch of shrimp coming into view. which makes sense. We're actually coming very close to what we dropped originally as marker MCR001 on our first dive here, where we landed right near the top of the chimney, so we should be coming back into familiar territory. See the yellow staining on these cobbles here, these very angular rocks. A lot of sulfidic sediment. There's some white staining there, that must be a sign of active fluid flow. That'll be filaments here.
Yeah, is the ship still moving? Negative. To the stop. Okay.
We see tube worms there.
Sirius is still on the move.
Can we zoom on that very briefly while we're moving, or not at all? If we can document tube worms this close to the top of the hill, that's really important. And we can drop a marker here, please. Should be marker 051. And that's and those are definitely tube worms up the top there. So this is MCR 051. We have tube worms here. Microbial film. And what's really important here is this is actually, we're on heading 306. Water depth 2332. Then our navigation must be slightly offset because we saw worm tubes on the southeast side, but we're approaching the chimney from the south, uphill. So we haven't seen these. We'll have to check our notes, but I don't remember seeing tube worms from the south side. We did see some worm tubes on the very southeast of our southernmost survey. That may well be where we are. We'll have to close the loop on our navigation of where we're making our observations. But I think we would have remembered if we'd known they were live when we saw them before, so... That's correct. The 2292 is the spire. Top of the spire is 2292 in depth. It's the only thing at that depth, so if you've got that in the sonar and Sirius, that'll be your cue. So here we are, Little Herc is still climbing the hill. It's on a heading of 352 degrees. We can see squat lobsters and shrimp over these highly weathered cobbles. I think there's a big cluster of shrimp just off to the left of Little Herc there. And we're approaching the top of the Von Damm hydrothermal field. I definitely, I seem to remember that we were facing south when we were filming in the hole previously. There's diffuse flow and shrimp just there on the left. increasing number of shrimp now. This is the kind of distributions we were seeing at one of the patches earlier in the day, further downhill along the little southeast spur. You can see individual shrimp. It's probably a fish. It's in the fish is just disappearing off the left field of view now.
Yep,
More
that's a
fish in the
zoarcid fish. Looks
Yep.
kind of like an eel.
Yep. Every now and then makes me want to prematurely think I've seen another tube worm, but it's just long and white from a long distance away. You get larger clusters of shrimp now, which almost certainly telling you get more focused flow coming out there. Means more chemical and more nutrient. The dark brown staining here is almost
I was
certainly...
wondering if you had mixed the name bucket lid spire.
We're actually seeing, I can see some of the darker red shrimp as well as the light ones. There's a nice shimmering bit of fluid flow there with a cluster of shrimp there, and we're still coming up. We're at 2300 meters, so still another 8 meters to go to the central spire. You can see the rocks here completely covered with these hydrothermal shrimp that we believe are a new species. And we are moving forward. I would follow the sonar at this point, guys, that the see a lot of fishes in the rocks here. The pale color is when the rocks are cracked open. And we're still coming up steeply. We're at 2296 meters. You can see the central edifice now. There are shrimp all over the place, teeming with these shrimp that are about 5 centimeters long. They're there in there. Certainly thousands, tens of thousands maybe. I don't know. It's a multitude. All of them taking advantage of the chemical energy available from the hot fluid circulating through the rocks here. Coming out and generating these large mineral structure. This is almost entirely chemical precipitate that we're looking at. Covered over with thousands of these shrimp. And at the top of the whole thing, this giant spire with hot fluid coming out through the summit.
Go ahead.
And this is it. The vehicle is now at 2292 meters. This is the very top of this spire. We just came up 8 meters. That's about 24, 25 feet we just climbed
Roger, video.
up this almost vertical chimney. The little laser dots there are 10 centimeters across. This tells you the left-hand half of this field of view is about 3 meters across left to right. That's the width of this, I don't know, colossus, this large mineral structure. Everywhere you see white in that field of view are hydrothermal animals. Chemosynthetic shrimp living at the, well, hydrothermal shrimp living at the bottom of the ocean and taking advantage of the energy from the Earth's interior as the basis for life in this environment.
This is Okeanos Explorer. I also heard Nautilus.
Twice. It is, but only to people on headsets. Silver Spring, you'll have to contend with competing audio, but you said you couldn't hear it on the VLC feed, so you're only listening to MPL anyway. So, Mike, the only issue Silver Spring has to contend with is lip sync. They'll hear your voice before they see you talk. Okay.
If you have Mike go over the feed 2 from the Nautilus, then we could monitor that.
BMix and AMX. Right, exactly. Yeah, so right. So BMix. Right. Yeah. So BMix is just.
No, negative. We can't send that.
So BMix is us. AMX is
Roger
us
that.
plus NPL.
He's gonna try to feed you something else, Silver Spring. Stand by.
How are we doing with the ship move, Brian? Okay. Hey, Dave, are you getting close enough to get some really good lighting, or what?
Silver Spring.
Yeah, this home button is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Catalina,
Okay.
this is Fred. You hear me okay? Oh, good. Then I won't do my impersonations of how your recording answers your phone.
Yeah, Roger.
Please don't do that. We have one reporter here already, and we're just all starting to gather, so you want to just hold tight?
Yeah, which news organization do you have?
A local paper, Narragansett Times.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Let us know when you start getting folks showing up there.
Yeah, we have 2 Sea Grant fellows, Kyle and myself here right now, so we're almost a full team, but we're expecting a few more. Heard you say turn listen on to ISC1, which I heard earlier before I switched it up, but it's on now.
Hi, Kat and Fred. This is Kelly on the line.
This is Kelly on the line. Hi, Kelly.
I'm just now
hello,
able.
Silver Spring. This is a test.
Kelly, this is Fred. We hear you loud and clear.
Oh, it's Fred. It's
Hey, Roland, what are you pushing out over the VSAT now?
I'll do a test. How do you hear me through IFB1? Okay, Michael, can you please talk to Silver Spring?
Hi, Silver Spring. This is Mike on Nautilus.
Fred, did you hear him? So did we. No, it's been repeated. Kelly, can you please say hello to Silver Spring?
Kelly stepped away. This is Webb. Can you hear me?
Great. Mike, try one more time. Count to 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Well, the other thought is that it was all that flow that actually
That
built
90 will.
this whole thing around it.
No,
Check
we're
1, 2. It wasn't
doing
a
a
full
test.
chimney. In other words, it just kept
Maybe they have equipped the mic to
flowing out,
the
and then it
so I can
built
hear
all of that material off to the
Yes.
sides and in front of it. Kind of hard to know.
This one isn't on yet. Yep.
Silver Spring, this is Catalina at URI.
Yes, Kat.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we think what
That's
you're doing is you have two listens turned on. You have MPL turned on
flow
and the
coming out
IFC turned on. You need to
would have
turn
just
listen
built this
off
thing.
on MPL,
Kind of
and you will
interesting
not get the
to know
echo.
how they form.
It should already have it. I see hub.
Yeah, we've seen, areas that have been
You're
broken
killing
off,
us.
and they grow very fast.
Turn them all off.
Lost Cities was phenomenal that way.
Just leave IFB as in boy 1 latched on, and you have to speak through MPL1. I mean, just MPL. Only listen. Exactly.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, now we're speaking through MPL1. Do you hear me?
Loud and clear. Mike, can you speak to Silver Spring? Let's do another test.
No.
Okay.
You don't hear Catalina?
1,
No.
2, 3.
Silver Spring, did you hear Mike?
We did.
Okay. No echo?
No echo.
Awesome. We're good.
1,
Standby.
2, 3.
Yep. I can hear Carolyn.
Also turn survey 2 on. That way you'll be able to hear whoever's on this one on the web.
Okay.
Okeanos and Nautilus, just please
Yeah,
stay
Tom,
on the
that's a great
line and
shot
stand
right there.
by, and you'll be cued when it's time to talk, okay?
Roger. Okeanos.
You should be able to hear the whole program.
Audio check from the Okeanos.
Okay. Whatever you got to do, Mike.
Right.
Hey, Catalina, this is Fred. When we have general speakers here, Craig, John, we'll just hold down the MPL toggle for others to hear them. Is that the right plan?
You're going to have people right at the microphone, so you have to position them, Fred. They have to sit there. That's part of the experience, but that's also how the technology works. We won't hear them from across the room.
Hey, Dave,
yeah,
as
the
you
problem
get,
is they'll be speaking
as you
to the
get
group
closer,
here, and they'll have to put their back to the group
if
to
you
use
move
the microphone.
higher,
Okay, Fred, hold on 1 minute.
that tether
Mike,
might not
they're
be so
scratching
offensive.
the
What do you
2
think?
o'clock show, your 9 o'clock show. It will not happen.
Sorry, I
They
didn't
said
hear you, Dave.
you're all set up. They don't want to interrupt it. Okay, Fred.
Yeah, I think as you get closer, if your move is continuing, as you get closer, if you can get higher, I think that's going to be the shot where you're really lighting up the top.
So unless people are willing to get up and move to the front of the room, you'll need to relay their questions for them.
Interspace Center, it's the Okeanos Explorer. Can you please respond that you are hearing me on RX6?
Catalina, we're hearing you twice with a little delay in between.
Bummer.
Yeah, are you still on a move, Dave?
I just heard me say the same thing twice, but Kyle, go ahead, say what you think it is.
Okay, Kat, this is Kyle. Yeah. We were monitoring on the I2 stream, so that's what we're hearing it over.
Well, you have to turn one of those off. Use the RTS unit.
RTS unit for all communications.
Yeah, and turn off the audio on your computers.
Okay, we'll do.
That will kill the ship audio.
Tom, the challenge here will be to try to put things in perspective. If you get too close, you're just looking
Webb,
into
are you
dead
there on
shimmering water.
He's just stepped away, Cat.
Okay.
Yeah,
You had a
because
request
if
to
you
switch
get
the
perspective, you see that
room?
water, see it pulsating?
Maybe.
Yeah, so that's the shot right there. That's beautiful, right there. Now you get a perspective of, you got this big hole in the side of the mountain here, and it's pouring out hot water, and that's what's creating what's going on here. And now Dave's getting into a real good spot as well to show the hole, so this is good.
Look at that vent. That is awesome.
Interspace Center, it's Okeanos Explorer.
Hey, Webb. Cat at URI.
Hey, if Kyle kills the audio from the embedded video feed, he will not hear the ship.
Yeah, that's really good perspective, right at that angle, Tom.
The ship's
Fred,
audio
you
is
hear
coming through the second video feed. That's the way this is going to work, so that we don't have the lip syncing issues.
Well, he either has a lip syncing issue or he hears things twice.
Well,
apparently.
If he doesn't listen, I mean, keep in mind what other audio. Trying to think how.
Well, let's test it.
All right. So, are you listening? Are you listening to the second receive channel?
Webb, this is Silver Spring. The audio that we're broadcasting from Silver Spring is coming out on the stream.
Which channel are you listening to?
This is stream 1.
Okay. What happens if you listen to stream 2? The way it works is stream 1 and 3 has both sides of the conversation, both the shore content and the ship content. Stream 2 only has the ship content, so you won't hear yourself.
Let me switch that. Hold on.
All right.
This is on I2. Stream 2.
Okay, this is the ship. All right, so if you're watching the ship, you're actually looking at me in the Okeanos control room. Please confirm.
Okay, guys, we have about 2 minutes before we're going to go live here, so get yourself in a good spot. Yep. Okay.
Interspace Center, please confirm. Silver Spring, please confirm. Okeanos Channel 2 is the Okeanos control room. And the audio is synced to me talking.
Okay, we have you now.
Okay. That sounded like Dwight. Can I get confirmation from Silver Spring? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We're getting you on the RTS unit and also on the stream.
What are you listening to on the RTS unit?
IFP 1.
Okay. Wait, what station?
IFB 1. They set that up because we were not able to hear Nautilus.
Yeah, Webb, that's only at Silver Spring, set up by Bob Knott.
Okay. then you're just going to have to disable it when the ship's docking, or when the Nautilus is not talking. All right. Just want to go around the room one more time. So,
yeah, there you go.
Interspace Center, please confirm you're receiving ship traffic on RX6. Okay. No confirmation from the Interspace Center. Rhode Island, Catalina's location. Catalina, are you looking at feed 2? This should be the Okeanos control room, and are you hearing my voice through the video?
It's just stalled for a minute. Hold on. We've had a lot of interruptions today. Okay, feed 1, close up, feed 2, serious. Oh no, he says we're not catching feed 2. Hold on just a minute.
Check the Ebno number on the satellite modem.
Okay, there you are, Webb. Feed 2, control room.
All right, so I'm going to do a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Can we put you in the quad, Webb? Is that quad coming straight from the Okeanos?
It is, but I mean, that's if you put this in a quad display, it's. I guess I'm confused as to the advantage. We talked about this yesterday, and the way Silver
Don't worry
Spring.
about it if it's too tough.
Yeah, I agree. I concur, Dave. You
So
need to get a little closer.
The way we worked it through with the Silver Spring yesterday, Catalina, was Silver Spring is going to display the quad from the Nautilus as well as the quad from the Explorer. And then what we're going to do is we're going to toggle between this view and the main view on the Little Hercules ROV. So channel 1 will always be the ROV camera. Channel 3 will always be the quad from the Okeanos Explorer. All right, the last thing I'd like to do in the little time that we have left is I'd like to confirm you can hear the other 2 microphones from the ship. So is, Catalina, are you there? Catalina, this is the Okeanos Explorer, are you there?
Okeanos, this is Kat.
Okay. I'm going to have Kelly count to 5, verify you can hear her.
1, 2, 3,
You froze, Webb.
4,
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
5.
Did you just hear Kelly Elliott count to 5?
Hey, Mike, can you hear me on the Nautilus?
Catalina, are you there?
I'm talking to you through MPL, Mike, on Nautilus.
Okay. Can you hear Dave?
Catalina, this is Fred. Are we close to
Thanks.
having things aligned that we can consider beginning fairly soon?
Sure. Give us about 1 more minute, Fred.
Yes.
Mike, do you think you should play B-roll from Nautilus?
I heard Cat. I don't know that I heard Fred.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I was listening to something else, so I might have
So,
tuned out.
Okeanos, just so you know, you keep freezing, and that means your audio freezes too.
Okay.
Hi, Kat. Can you confirm
Wonderful,
that you
thank
can hear
you.
me? Catalina?
Perfect timing, Mike. High five to your whole crew there. Whoever your navigatrix is wonderful.
Catalina, are you there? Catalina, this is the Okeanos Explorer.
Catalina, are you there?
Yes?
Okay, Catalina, that was Kelly Elliott. Did you just hear Kelly?
I heard her say, Catalina, are you there?
Yes, that was it. Okay, correct.
And then you froze.
All right. Are they seeing the, where are you physically located right now?
Webb, you're freezing up. Terrible. Okay, Fred, give us a minute. Webb's troubleshooting something, and then we can begin.
Thank you, Kat.
Nautilus is on target now, so good timing for them.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. We are going to officially start now.
That's a good shot right there, Tom.
My name is Dennis Nixon. I'm the Associate Dean for Research at the Graduate School of Oceanography, which is very proud to be the host of the Inner Space Center, an incredible collaboration of the University of Rhode Island, NOAA, and the Institute for Exploration. It's a unique partnership that has brought together an incredible coalition today. 2 vessels, a couple of satellites, underwater vehicles, personnel scattered all over the globe, all united by the interest in ocean discovery and ocean exploration. The images that we're seeing here at the Inner Space Center are truly extraordinary. And as Catalina told me earlier, these things we're looking at now have been here all the time, hidden in plain view, because we never went looking for them before. So I'm pleased now to open this event and turn it over to Dwight Coleman, Director of the Inner Space Center, who will then carry on with introductions. Dwight?
Thank you, Dennis. Well, welcome to the Inner Space Center. We're very excited that you're all here to witness, really for one of the first times, both ships coming in live. We have one ship working in the mid-Cayman Rise, which is just south of the Cayman Islands in the Caribbean. And then there's another ship that's working off the Black Sea coast of Turkey, off the province of Sinop. And so the mission of the Okeanos Explorer is to explore this mid-Cayman Rise region where new crust is being formed in the Caribbean plate, and there's hydrothermal venting activity, and we see one of those feeds here. And then the other ship, the Nautilus, is working in the Black Sea, as I mentioned, and they're right now over an ancient shipwreck, and they're about to investigate this ancient shipwreck, which we think is from the Byzantine period. So here at the Inner Space Center, we have both feeds. The Okeanos Explorer feed, that quad view is coming in on the lower right. The EV Nautilus feed, it has a quad feed coming in on the lower left. And then we have, looks like Dave Lavalvo on the Okeanos Explorer. And that's the live image from the ROV coming in up on that upper screen. Mike Brennan is there on the Nautilus. You can wave, Mike. And hey, Dave, I hope everyone can hear me okay. There's a lot of technical challenges associated with communicating with 2 ships on other different parts of the world, all coming right in here to you or I at the same time. So I think we'll need to turn it over to the folks in Silver Spring for some introductions from the folks at NOAA.
Thank you, Dwight. Thank you, Dean Nixon. In Silver Spring, we've got a fine-looking group. We've got some Canal Sea Grant Fellows with us. From OMAO, Captain Stiles, Todd Stiles, is going to speak for OMAO very shortly. We've got NOAA still photographers and video folks capturing the event here. We've got public affairs representation from OAR and NOS. And so we're ready to go, and I think we'll start with Craig McLean. I'd like to introduce Craig. He's NOAA's Acting Assistant Administrator for Research. Craig, if you would, please.
First, I want to say welcome to everybody who's turned out here to be part of seeing this demonstration. This is, as folks have said already, a remarkable aggregation of equipment. It is very unique to NOAA. It's also very unique around the world. The 2 ships that you see in operation here are the only 2 ships that are dedicated for the purpose of exploring the Earth's oceans. That's a rather novel project to undertake, and one might argue it's a rather late project to undertake. As far as we think we're capable of managing ocean activities, it's pretty clear to see how little we know about the oceans. So this is a very important program for NOAA, a very important program for the nation. It's a very important program for the world. So I congratulate and commend the people who have been working in an amazing way for the past several years in order to bring this about. Dean Nixon, I want to send my appreciation to you for the support that the university has given us, but to the entire team at the Institute for Exploration, Dwight Coleman, Dave LaValvo, the team out on the Explorer, and the team that are out on the Nautilus. This is a unique group of people. These are the astronauts of the undersea, and they're capable of bringing live images to scientists all over the world, and I defy anyone to identify a similar capacity that exists in the ocean science world. 10 years ago, as we now celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the creation of the Ocean Exploration Program in NOAA, a presidential panel of experts gathered and said, you ought to go get a ship that's purposely dedicated to explore because none existed. We've got that. Now we've got two. You ought to go and concentrate on areas that are going to stimulate the public's interest but answer key scientific questions. I think you have that right in front of you, both in terms of human history from the Black Sea and in terms of natural history and evolutionary history from the Cayman area. So what you're looking at here is technology that took 10 years for us to put together on a rather lean budget that NOAA has. It's a rather embarrassing contribution to look at how much this nation might choose to spend to send spaceships up to Jupiter, when in fact we're having a hard time funding weather satellites here on Earth. And I think the Jupiterians will be well protected, but I have greater concern for the humans that we have here on Earth and our ability to accomplish our entire task. So this is a very lean program. This is a very productive program. Others will tell you, I think John has some interesting statistics about the publications that have been generated from this program, the discoveries that are in the hundreds that are generated from this program, and the nature of what we're learning about the undersea only because we have this program. And once again, it's because of the dedicated people at these consoles around the world and on these two ships that are making this a reality. So I want to say thanks for coming. Thanks for the tour. You know where I am. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have later on, but please enjoy the opportunity to explore and discover that is being presented to you by Kyle, by Fred, and by the teams that are on both these ships. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Craig. Now I'm pleased to introduce John McDonough as the Deputy Director of NOAA's Office of Ocean Exploration and Research. John.
All right, thank you, Fred. And I won't keep you from getting into the show here. I'll keep my remarks brief, but this does represent a cornerstone to the ocean exploration program in NOAA. And I'll start off by addressing one of the questions that was asked while we were beginning to set up here. Is like, what's unique about this? What is telepresence all about? And for most of you in the room here and over the airwaves that are used to doing research going out on ships, you find yourself in a very insular environment with a small group of people gathering information and then taking it back to your labs, back to your offices, working with it, and then over time developing the product. What telepresence enables you to do is to engage communities of people onshore working with that information in real time. We call this systematic exploration, so it's not going out to the benefit of a particular project to meet one set of objectives. We're going out to collect baseline information using a variety of scientists and communities of people interacting with that information in real time. The intent is to populate rich databases that multiple projects can benefit from. So we call these missions, we call them expeditions. They're not research projects. And I think that's the real power of telepresence. This also transcends to education as well. You can get communities of educators engaged with the expeditions and using that information in real time to excite new generations of explorers, to actually have them work with the data, pull that into some of their database systems and start developing creative products we never would have dreamed of in that environment in real time. So that's what we're looking to do here with exploration. We're looking also to migrate this to do other types of work as well too. So the technology is right now, it exists on the NOAA ship Okeanos Explorer, the Ocean Exploration Trusted Vessel, they call it the Exploration Vessel Nautilus. That's working in the Black Sea, we're working in the Cayman Rise, but there's no reason that this technology cannot be adapted for other platforms as well too. There is a shore-based network. The hub is the Inner Space Center. You've heard a little bit about that. And there are command centers like this that are scattered around the country and other parts of the world that can tune into and work with the information that's derived here. Craig had mentioned some of the statistics. We've been working on this for several years, and we've been testing and evaluating our systems, our multi-beam mapping system, the ROVs and the telepresence capability. And in doing so, we did it with the intent of collecting information. We have accomplished quite a bit. On the west coast of the U.S., while we were working with a multi-beam mapping system on the Okeanos, we collected 66,000 square kilometers of bathymetric data, working in conjunction with NLS and National Marine Fisheries Service to identify targets where they needed this information. And likewise, another 76,000 square kilometers of the same type of information off of Hawaii. We've also integrated this effort with our efforts related to the Extended Continental Shelf Mapping Initiative, which is part of the UN Law of the Sea. And we were able to accomplish in two areas off of Hawaii and the west coast the acquisition of 84,000 square kilometers to help that effort out. So there's a lot going on here. We had a great expedition last year with the Republic of Indonesia, working in an area north of the Indonesian archipelago. And we were working in partnership with two ships there, collected a lot of really good information that I think was of benefit and value, working on the Coral Triangle Initiative, identifying essential fish habitat, and also the gathering of oceanographic information, ocean chemistry, currents, and things like that, that add to our understanding of the Indonesian through flow and how that may be affecting climate over time. So even though we're still in a testing and evaluation phase, there's a lot going on, a lot of productive work. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Fred.
Thank you, John.
Thanks.
Appreciate that. There's one more thing happening in addition to exploring the seafloor in two very different parts of the world. As the Okeanos Explorer completes its mission and goes on to the next one and time goes by, that ship is getting closer and closer in time and space to its new home port. And so just to address that briefly, we'll start by sending it back to the Interspace Center in Rhode Island and Dean Nixon.
Fred, hold on. Can you hear me, Fred?
I hear you, and we're holding on.
Okay, I'm just going to give a bit of context, and then I'm going to hand it over to Dennis Nixon. So hi, everybody. I'm Catalina Martinez. I work for NOAA's Office of Ocean Exploration and Research as well. What you're hearing through these speakers when you hear Fred and Craig and John, these people who you cannot see, they're standing at a replica of this console in Silver Spring, Maryland, in NOAA headquarters. And we have replicas like this around the country and even in other parts of the world so that folks on shore, scientists, educators, operators, can work with us remotely, just like you're seeing here. So just to give you some context there. So my home office is in Silver Spring, Maryland, in a building adjacent to where this Exploration Command Center is developed. And I work for the program here at URI. I came back here in 2004 as we developed our relationship together more formally. And we've been working together since that time, doing the R&D and applying this technology in various ways. So that's how we've basically gotten to where we are today. It's taken a lot of effort. So now you have context for the folks you can't see. And hold on, I'm going to give it back to Dennis Nixon.
Thanks, Catalina. I just want to extend my greetings to the folks on the Okeanos. It's really exciting that you're coming to the home port of Quonset Davisville, Rhode Island, just up the bay from our campus here at GSO in Narragansett. We plan a fully appropriate welcoming ceremony, perhaps a line of quahog skiffs you'll have to sail through with clam rakes raised as an official Rhode Island salute when you enter the port. We've got a great facility for you to work here when the ship is based just up the bay, and we're looking forward to greeting more members of the NOAA family here at the University of Rhode Island because, as I said earlier, this is a very special combination of a major federal government agency, a state university, and a nonprofit that's involved in ocean exploration, all working together in a seamless way. It's been a challenge to make all that happen for the first time anywhere in the world, but we've done it here, and we're really looking forward to having Okeanos here and the major port to welcoming ceremony that we will have for you when you get to Rhode Island. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Dean. We'll now hear from Captain Todd Stiles. Captain Stiles is with NOAA's Office of Marine and Aviation Operations. And please, Captain.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm a commissioned officer with the Commission.
Fred, he needs to get closer to the mic.
So Todd Stiles here with the NOAA Commission Corps, part of the Office of Marine and Aviation Operations, and the office, or OMAO for short, is responsible for operating the agency's vessels, ships, and aircraft to support NOAA missions, including the NOAA ship Okeanos Explorer. I'd like to thank Dean and others for the words of welcome for the NOAA ship EX. And speaking for OMAO, we certainly appreciate the partnership with NOAA's Office of Ocean Exploration and Research that has made the ship and the exploration program successful. We certainly look forward to the vessel finally arriving in its new home port here in very late September, and we look forward to the partnerships with Rhode Island in the near future.
The University of Rhode Island, Ocean Exploration Trust, U.S. Navy, and others. So it really is partnerships that make these types of things work. We've been growing this together. The key partners, as I see it right now, that have been involved since the beginning. We've mentioned the University of Rhode Island, but also the University of New Hampshire, the Integrated Ocean and Coastal Mapping Facility up there. There's a command center like this there, and that is almost like the mapping hotbed of these command centers. So they're doing a lot of really interesting work with data visualization, taking the mapping and surveying information in. The system we have on the Okeanos right now also does a very good job of mapping things that exist within the water column. One of our upcoming cruises is going to be in the northern Gulf of Mexico. We're going to be working in tandem with the NOAA ship Pisces, testing different sonar systems, doing sonify natural gas in the water column. So it's going to be a really interesting experiment. And again, finally wrapping it up back to the question about the power of telepresence too, one of the things that we've anticipated but you just really can't predict is the ability for many others to start contributing. The fact that we've got this out now over Internet One, you heard Chris talk about people who are viewing that stream and then actually contributing information about what they're seeing. We heard the other day that there was 2,200 viewers on Internet One, and many of them scientists who've worked in the past who had not been connected to this were actually contributing in a blog environment information about what they're seeing. So we expect to see this continue to grow synergistically like this too. So you can get on Internet One and watch this at any time too. 2 in the morning too. Thank you, John. And we'll send it back to the Inner Space Center in Rhode Island for any final words there.
Hi, folks. Catalina. We're just really excited to be here and experiencing both ships diving simultaneously. It's just amazing. If you could see what we're seeing right now, it's unbelievable. We're just really fortunate also to have such an incredible facility here that allows us to also host a team of scientists while we're supporting the 2 ships at sea. So hopefully we can bring some folks up to meet our scientists and to see how we're operating upstairs. And we're just thrilled to have the Okeanos on its way here to its home port location in Davisville. That's a really big deal for Rhode Island, and we're really excited about that. I'm going to hand it over to Dennis Nixon for a closing comment. Hold on just a minute.
To the crews of both vessels, the images you're producing for us today have just been truly stunning. I will not soon forget those shrimp swarming over that hydrothermal vent. It's truly an incredible thing to see. I want to thank everybody involved in this project. I mean, it's literally hundreds of people, from those who worked on building the ROVs and making sure they kept working, to the crews on board, the folks who served coffee on board the Nautilus and the Okeanos this morning, everyone who made this possible. It's an incredible contribution, and for me, it's a very gratifying event, because for the first day in this building, in this facility, we're maxing out. We've got both ships live, we've got satellites, we've got scientists. This is what this facility was built for, and it was a great day to have all screens functioning and to see the incredible things that you put up for us to look at today. So thank you all for your cooperation, and thank you for joining us here at the Inner Space Center. I'm signing off.
Thank you, everybody everywhere who made this happen. This is Silver Spring. We're signing off.
Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Catalina.
Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Catalina.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Okeanos. Great job, everybody.
Okay, Rhode Island, welcome back to Radio Seafloor. This is Chris in the hot seat, very, very briefly. I hope you enjoyed the show, and even if you didn't, we're putting you back to work. OSEC, if you can hear me, please have a quick squawk on the box and say hi.
Okeanos, this is OSEC. Just to let you know, congratulations on the good show, and we are looking forward to getting back to some science.
Very good. So you know what we're doing now is we are going to, for everybody who's listening, we are at the top of the Von Damm spire. What we're going to do now is get both vehicles on the southwest side of the spire. Then we're heading down to the southwest in charge of new things we haven't seen before. We're actually going through a little bright spot, which might be some more active fluid flow, and then we're heading down towards a location where we saw fluid flow and corals and pockmarks in sediment. When we were doing our systematic survey, we haven't ever been back there, but there's a whole bunch of other interesting little lumps down there on the southwest corner, and as we saw earlier today, when you go new places, you find new stuff. So Paul Tyler is on his way.
Okeanos, this is OSEC. Just curious whether you are talking on EXWL or OKEX.
I am talking on OKEX.
Very much.
And I'm thinking in somewhere else. Yep, very good. So we are going to head south and west. We're going to go find new things. And we have, I believe we have another 2 hours on the seafloor. Approximately 2 hours. So we have, when you think how much fun we had in the first 2 hours of this dive, who knows what's going to happen next. And here we go. I'm handing you over to the dulcet tones of Professor Paul Tyler. Enjoy the rest of the show.
RV nav bridge.
Go ahead.
19 meters left in this move.
Thank you.
Can we just have a look at that patch there, please? I'm not sure we've seen that one before. Just to make sure that it's either not is or not hydrothermal. Pilot, I'll be happy with a snap zoom if you don't want to settle down. It was. I saw holothurian just as we were going into the this patch. If we could go just down, is it possible to go down a little bit? Yeah. If we can just go back and have a look at the bottom part of that patch, that would be helpful. Yeah. As I thought, there is a holothurian there. Nav, do we have a fix on this point? Yes, I think it would be useful just to make sure. This is target 052. We're going to just waypoint this in case we feel we want to come back. Interesting point. The geologist might be able to answer. Okay. The question for onshore, the pilots are asking, in a lot of these holes, the sediment has gone, it's just gravel in the bottom of the sediment. Do you have any idea why we just get in these holes with gravel in the bottom?
I can volunteer an answer, Paul, if you like.
Fire away, Chris. I've got a feeling the people in Rhode Island are very tied up with journalists at the moment. So yeah, if you want to give an answer, that's just great.
Well, one of the ideas that I've heard coming from Mike and Bobby in particular is that what we're actually seeing, the holes are basically on the tops of future faults that are going to crack open, and this is just the first stage. So if fluid's coming up through the holes, what it's probably doing is it's just a density effect. It can blow out the fine-grained stuff, and it's the coarse stuff gets left behind.
Okay. Paul to pilots, suggestion is that there is fluid coming up through these holes and it's blowing all the fine stuff away and leaving the gravel behind. So essentially it's a fluid expulsion that's causing it. There's a couple of explanations. There has been an explanation that these might even be created by whales and things diving down. But I'm not entirely convinced by that. That might be the case. Seems strange to have a linear feature. Again, Chris, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, again, one of the things we heard from the geologists ashore earlier today was we saw something like this that stretched off across the side of the hill. And what we think, like if you're looking along this view now, it may well be that everything to the left is slumping downhill, and this is just where the sediment's being ripped apart.
Yeah, that's interesting. It doesn't look like a rip to me. It looks as though more like a gouge. The sort of thing you see sometimes when the rovers landed on the seabed.
Well, I guess that's just about possible here.
There's some banter going back and forth between the pilots at the moment about, some people need to have L plates on their ROV. Those of you that can see this, if you look in the Sirius video, you can see this is the patch that we're going to have a look at today. And this is where we were looking at the other day. And we're going to try and see if we can find the same spot with fluid flow and the like.
From what I remember, Paul, it seems to be where the sediment was just meeting the rubble, so towards the front, but we didn't really get a chance to explore the part beyond that. Paul, can you hear me?
I can hear you. There's the pilots are talking to me and Nav's talking to me at the same time. Paul to pilots, essentially where the sediment flattened out. If you remember, there was a flat piece of sediment before we went into the rocky area, and I think it might be just a little bit further on.
I think we are getting close, though, because you can see that there are some mussel shells down there in the foreground at the bottom of the frame.
Yeah, gotcha.
I think there's also a Gorgonian coral there to the right.
Yes, I think I see in the Sirius, I think I see a patch of white where there's a bit bulging to the left of the patch of rock that looks, so it might be a bit of effect of hydrothermal fluid. Okay, we're right down near the seabed now. This is the patch that is quite distinctive on the autosub bathymetry. Looks like we're seeing sponges.
Just looking to your navigation, the marker may still be a little bit to the west, if anything.
Yeah. Okay, Chris.
It looks like pockmarks down to the right, Paul, or just coming into the centre of the view now.
Yeah, this looks more or less where we were. Yeah, this looks more like it. That looks like some of the broken coral. Pilots, if we can go down here and have a good close look, please. Ah.
We are coasting to a stop. Our navigator has unerringly landed us here. You want to play the game?
And what I would like to do, guys, is look. It was very close to the sediment, sort of rocky interface where we saw the hydrothermal fluid. So I want to go round this patch. For a little bit, just looking very closely at the interface between the sediment. That's it, and these piles of rubble.
Well, there is some hydrothermal flow outflow right about current position. Good idea that we flew over it.
Can we go back? Can we go back and have a look, please?
Okay, what do you want to look at, Pat?
I think the pilot said there was some hydrothermal flow just to our right. Yeah, I think more or less dead ahead, down in that little hollow there. I've got a feeling that's where we might have been a couple of days ago.
I would think we'd see our footprint in the snow.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
It's somewhere in this pile. I thought it was the point where we first came up, but now I'm realizing no, we're close.
Paul to pilot, let me just have a really good look round.
He's still trying to get a good view of the working spot here. No, actually, I'm confused about precisely where you want to go and where you want to look. You want to look along this margin, right? Right along the sediment.
That's right. Yes, the other day when we were here, it was really just where these rocks and boulders met the sediment. That's where the hydrothermal fluid was, right down in almost in the crack.
Are we talking about 2 or 3 days ago?
Yeah, I think it was dive 3.
Okay. Yeah, I know where you mean. And I haven't seen it yet. I can just keep following this margin here. We'll get to it. Rocks on the left and the dirt on the right. We'll get all the way around this thing. It might be directly underneath the ground. Sort of like sailing around Australia. Just keep the dirt on the left. Right there.
Wouldn't say that to Cameron.
So there's some flow.
Looks like there's some diffuse flow there at the bottom, just to the left of that octocoral.
Right in front.
Yeah. Let's go and look at it closely, please.
That you cut down. The camera's looking down at 35 degrees.
I'm not sure if you guys can see it, Paul, but at the top of the frame, yeah, just to the left. Are you just maneuvering to look, get a closer look?
Sorry, Mike, at the top of the frame. I can see the dead mussel shells. Okay, gotcha. I got it now. Got it on visual, Mr. Sulu. The black patch to the the black patch to the right of the pillar. That's what we'd like to get in the center of the screen and zoom in on. That would be really good. I'm just wondering if all those shells, the ones to the side, are dead. But I'm just wondering if all the shells in that little small crater are dead. I think they are, but it's hard. Yeah. I think for the first time, the periostracum looks intact on that one just to the left of center on the screen. Just wondering if we might have found, or maybe just my optimism. It might just be my optimism, I think. Yeah.
Can you see active flow there, Paul, or is it just a weird effect on my screen?
No, it's active flow. It's definitely active flow, Chris.
Cool, thanks. Sorry, I was out of the room for a bit.
Yep. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, guys. What I'd like to do, if possible, is is continue on and just see what else we find. I'd like to just go round the edge of this patch, and then I want to go through the center of the patch. Oh, yes, please. While we're here, yeah.
Can you just check the temperature from the ROV now, Paul, as we're flying over this?
The temperature of the ROV, I think you said was normal, didn't you guys? Temperature is 4.2 Celsius. Someone can note that, please. Oh, let's go and look at that large coral there while we're at it. It looks as though it's a living coral. The biggest thing we've seen. Yeah. To the left of center.
Coral's definitely alive. You can see the polyps.
Yeah. One of the things that's interesting, a lot of hydrothermal and cold seep sites tend to get living gorgonians all around these sites for the non-biologists. And I guess they are filter feeding on particles produced at the vent and the cold seep. And this gorgonian's just had a real mouthful. This looks a really nice live one, so we can have a look at it while we're here.
Paul, could we get, are the lasers on?
Could we have the lasers on, please? What I think we have here is a large Muricid-type Gorgonian, and I think next to it, the thing with the brown stumpy base, I've got a feeling that that might be a dead coral, and it might be zoanthids on it. It's difficult to see here. Zoanthids, of course, are colonial, but you tend to find them growing on dead corals in various places in the deep ocean. Now I wonder why that one looks as though it's thriving so well when all the others, or many others around, have keeled over and sort of fallen off. And just wondered if the dead ones are a function of earthquake activity or something like that. Do the geologists know there's many earthquakes around here?
Bobby says that there are some.
Okay. We saw some of that off Sumatra when we were diving after the Boxing Day tsunami and earthquake. And we were diving off the west coast of Sumatra down to 4,000 meters. And there seemed to be a few corals down in that area then. Okay, Mike Cheadle just told me that, in fact, for those that are listening in, he would expect this area to be active in terms of seismic activity. So dead corals could well have been a function of some activity in the past. Any idea, Mike, how long ago? Silly question, I guess. Okay, guys, let's continue looking. What time do I have to be off the bottom for? Okay. Okay, guys, if we can continue to look round at the rubble mound at the edge of it and see if we can find anything else.
So, Paul, Bobby wanted me to pass on that from the Harvard catalog, in this area there have been 6 earthquakes greater than magnitude 5.
Thank you very much. That's very interesting. I don't know how many of you caught that, but there's been a number of earthquakes greater than magnitude 5, so there could well be damage. I'm not sure we know the boundary, but I guess it's not more than 25 meters diameter. But that's really guessing from the bathymetry. Let's have a look if we think it's releasing fluid. Yeah, this looks like where we started because that's the big starfish.
Right. Take him further west than he went before. Okay. So we cut short through the middle there.
Yeah, that's great, Dave, because I'm looking at the bathymetry, the sort of mottled area is to the west.
So I'm almost directly underneath you right now. Yep. Okay. I get down lower. We can't see what's flying over there. Okay. Yeah, up in the murk. So you want me to move the ship like 90 meters? Not yet, no. Let's see. About this away. It smooths out there. I think if you work around your left, I think she is edge of the rock pile here. Are you getting a sense of this pile here, Paul?
Not really. I think we're down to me. It looks like we're to the southeast of the marker, marker 21, and I'm more inclined to go to the west of marker 21. I am to come down in this direction.
All right, I just wanted to get all the way around the pile that we had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Done a complete circuit here.
No, I don't think we have, guys. I think we're actually in a sedimentary area between two what look like rougher areas to me on the bathymetry, and it's only my speculation they're rough areas, but yeah, that where we seem to be, according to Hydeback, is between two areas to the southwest of the main mound. But I think we need to go westwards, maybe slightly go up towards the marker 21, and then go westwards from there.
So you just land the lasers just short of the Hall of Fame. You will be there. Actually, now when you're that low, you bring the camera angle up. Yeah, but you need to bring the camera angle up because obviously I'm out of the full light. Yeah, the full light. Okay, so now, there you go. Well, that's not being very cooperative. Well, they never are. Well, I'm not going to stir up a cloud of dust. Okay, so set the camera angle first. Yeah. If you set the camera to the hot pool of light, the distance you're going to work.
Okay, Nav. What would be really useful is to just go back and forth over this site just to make sure there are no tube worms, or see if there are any just on this rocky patch.
So you want me to zigzag?
That would be perfect, please.
Okay.
My guess would be 20, 25 meters across, but that's just a guess.
So I didn't think you'd want the ship to be doing anything. You just want to park Sirius on the edge.
I think where Sirius is going to end up, I think it'll be fine. Sirius is still moving, and you have some weather out, so
Then in that case, I wouldn't move the ship at all.
yeah, no, I don't. I just want to let Sirius sit there.
Okay.
Did you copy that, Terrence?
That's fine, thanks. This looks like hydrothermal debris, but it looks like rather old, weathered hydrothermal debris. But we're going to have a good look round just to make sure there's nothing here. This is more like the debris from the main mound. Maybe it's...
Autopilot. I know that I'm headed the wrong direction, but if you could just follow me for a bit while the camera platform settles out, then I'll come back across your screen.
Roger that.
I've been asked to just zigzag around over this feature.
Okay.
Yes, Nav.
We have about an hour left, so possibly.
Thank you very much. Okay, folks, we have about an hour left of bottom time. We're going to be moving out sharply to the west. We seem to have drifted north quite a bit. We'll go over some sediment to begin with that separates the main mound from the pile of rubble we've been trying to get to at marker 21. Here we go. So heading that way.
Okay. I'll just stay over in the light pool and we're going to push 100 meters or so in this way.
Yeah, it's about 100 meters to go. This looks more like the patch we saw the other day. But keep going. Yep, it's called a Brisingid sea star. They're sometimes called the Velcro sea star. Yeah, they have these sticky spines that stick out from the arm. They stick together and they form a filtering basket.
Is that what we might also call basket star?
No. A basket star is a special type of ophiuroid called an euryalid brittle star, and it has all the branching arms and that sort of thing.
Matt, how fast are we heading west?
0.2.
Mike, I'm not sure if you're there on the line, but no, this area is off the main line of the hydrothermal activity, essentially to the southwest of the mound. and to the west of where we were looking this morning, and is rather, if there's nothing here in the way of hydrothermal activity, really supports your idea of a fault running right the way through here. I think that's really neat.
Paul, this is video. That corner we just crossed over should have some thermal fluid flowing up from it.
Thank you very much. Let me have a see. God, I can't even see it now. There certainly is a lot of dead coral around here. Can we swing round slightly to the left, please?
Yeah, you look exactly right, Tommy.
And can we try and follow this edge round as carefully as possible, please?
Yes, certainly. Just have to wait for Sirius to catch up here for a moment.
Roger that.
We need a little more tether.
Having to wait here for a minute, folks. We're running out of tether again. So we just have to wait till Sirius catches up.
Try, Roland. Just turn your water on there.
I guess I could entertain you all by talking about reproduction in Brisingid sea stars, but I'm not sure it's really appropriate for that time of day.
Go for it.
That's very nice. My guess is this is a Brisingid sea star called Freyella. And Freyella has a very distinctive thin arms. There's another species called Brisinga, which is very orange and has very bulging arms at the base. And the bulging arms at the base is where the gonads are located. And you separate two genera of Brisinga and Brisingella by the shape of the gonads. That is the only difference. But this is a genuine deep sea species. Okay. Getting carried along by the current here as well.
Tell you what, in about 30 seconds we'll pick up and go. How about that? Go for it.
If we can keep moving towards the west, we seem to have slipped a little south at the moment.
Give me a second, Roland.
Yeah. That's exactly. Apparently, there's been a number of level 5 or level 6 earthquakes through here, and I guess that's the cause of it. Yeah. What we're trying to do is going through here into this patch. Or yeah, we are past the waypoint going west. That's nice. Can you hear me, Jameson?
Oh yeah, this is Jameson. Yes, we can hear you. Mike just told me to tell you that this was Jameson for some reason.
Okay.
I think something in the event log showed that you couldn't hear us, but we're here.
Yeah. No, I can hear you fine. There's not a great deal to talk about just around here.
I see. Paul, Chris sent Mike an email saying that he couldn't hear us here, but he could hear you clearly, so
Okay.
I guess we were just checking.
No, that's the last thing.
7 meters from the end
no,
of the move.
essentially there's looks there's some structures on the bathymetry here. Not very big, but it might not be anything to jump up and down about. But we just want to check it out. A negative or 0 is a number.
It's going to be another 7 minutes until Sirius stops. We're still moving. So
you're only on your box and you're
depends on whether you want to.
We just want to check out a feature over here, and I think the feature is almost checked out now. When we start seeing lots of holothurians, we're moving out of a hydrothermal effect. I suspect, there's lots of them here now. You can't move holothurians. If Dave Billett is still in Southampton, he'll be sort of crawling the wall now. But I think we might actually call a stop to this trip to the west and move back to the east and try and find those very small patches of hydrothermal activity that we saw earlier on in this part of the dive. That would be perfect. I don't think there's any point going any further west. I think we're just going to move out into more sediment. So if we can go forward and do a reciprocal and then end up back at the waypoint would be useful.
Get me on the lights again, Chris, just so I can see where I am.
can check out that Gorgonian to the right of the screen. Hi, Chris.
Yeah, I think north of Sirius is waypoint 1, that's where we're meant to go to next. Isn't that right today?
Is it?
Yeah, we're meant to be going to waypoints 1, then WP1 and WP2 are on our agenda for today, as well as the NCR.
Irving Average?
Okay, mate.
Yes, can we
I think I'm going to suggest we move there straight away because I don't think we've got much to find here.
At 0.2 knots?
60 meters, 50 degrees at 0.2 knots.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do it.
Bobby says the slabs are kind of cute.
Now, if you're going to love me, I've just been talking to Chris on a private line. I think we have to fit in waypoints 1 and 2 in this dive, and as I make out, we've only got 45 minutes at the most, so I suspect we better make our way back to waypoints 1 and 2. I think we've actually had a good look round here, and except for 1 or 2 small patches, I'm not convinced there's nothing to compare with this morning.
The Rhode Island group agrees.
Okay, let's get it to 1.
So you know, Paul, WP2 is about as far again beyond WP1, a little bit further west again.
Private line, Chris. Yeah, okay. We're going straight to WP1 now. And what are we doing at WP1? Remind me.
Irving Average?
Yes, can I cancel this move and go due north for about 35 meters?
Okay.
Due north, 35 meters, 0.2 knots.
Start due north of here and do a similar east-west traverse that goes out a lot further.
Oh, semi-speculation here, but clearly these rocks are much more angular, and there's these massive 6-meter slabs that you can see from Sirius. I just wonder if we've gone onto the detachment fault surface, and what we're actually seeing is pieces of the detachment fault that have been just, showing up by the north-south fault scarps, which just cut through it. We're away from the basalt on the mounds, and the reason these rocks look smooth and they break angularly is this actually is the detachment fault again.
Okay, now what I'd like to do is go through 1, 2, 2 and try and get to 2 by the end of the dive before we start to surface. Sorry there, Mike. I had Nav and the pilot talking to me at the same time. And could you repeat what you said?
Sure, Paul. Sorry. I was just making the observation that we saw at the start of the day. The rocks we saw at the start of the day.
Got to the hard grounds, that's where the rocks were with all the hydrothermal fields.
Yeah. Okay.
We'd like 2 more vent sites, please.
We're just looking around here. Yeah, we've had a look. Let's go on to waypoint 2, please.
Average?
Yes, can we change our course to 260?
Sure. 260, same range?
Yeah, same range and same speed.
Okay.
just go down to those rocks and follow those if it's possible.
What's the little...
Chris, private line, I'm just going to follow this line of rocks to see if it goes linear or whether it curves round. Yeah, okay. When we get down there to the rocks, can we just line up the ROV and get the heading, the direction of the rocks, please? Oh, wow.
What's the heading now, Paul?
223, Chris. One thing I really don't understand, folks. No, we seem to be. This is a really good patch of living coral, with this very brecciated, sharp sediment, sharp rock, and yet in other places we're finding very badly damaged coral.
Yeah, just stay stopped. Okay.
Oh, there is.
That looks like diffuse flow.
Yep. You can see that, folks, back home. You can just see very, very little flow. So there's a little flow around here, and I suspect that's what's maintaining this bacterial production. It's maintaining a food source for the gorgonians. Yeah, you can see it, yeah. Yep. You wouldn't even see it without high-def television, I don't think. Yeah, there's some there as well. A little bit down to the left.
Let's go ahead and drop a waypoint here.
Please, Nav. We're dropping a waypoint. I'll make this 054. Ah, proper anemone. I've got a feeling, and I'm so happy to be stand corrected, that aren't these the Coralia morph anemones, these ones that have the white tips to their tentacles? Really, really nice anemones. You've seen these in canyons in the northeast Atlantic. That's very nice. That is lovely. Okay, now if we need to move on to the last waypoint, to waypoint 2. Can you tell me how far we are? Okay. Nice anemone there, folks.
Arvin Bridge?
Yes, could you? I have a 15-meter view, 265.
265, 15 meters, 0.2 knots?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
So this is a short move, 15 meters, 265. Make it east about that direction.
Yeah, so if you get that ahead, you should be good. I'll follow you.
Did you copy that? 265. We copy.
Thank you, Nev. Just carry on, guys, to waypoint 2, and then we'll, if we've got some time there, we'll just take some video if there's something in the video.
What's the direction again? Maybe a little bit.
260 and 265.
Another spiral core. That's pretty.
Very nice. I think it goes by the name of Iridiogogia. That suggests to me that it might bioluminesce.
Is that a tripod fish right there?
Oh, fantastic, Bathyterois.
It is a tripod fish.
Well, he doesn't look phased by us.
He's just hanging out.
Keep going to waypoint 2, guys.
That is correct. We're pretty close to waypoint 2.
Oh. Well, doesn't look as though there's much here to look at anyway, except the Pterois. Ship move is complete now, so should be able to move on to the last bit. Okay. We're on waypoint 2. What I suggest we do, should we just go through waypoint 2 to see if there's any rocks to look at? Affirmative, yes please. Okay, if Bobby said, tell her we're just going to look. We're just going to continue straight through waypoint 2 and just see if there's any rocks just over the horizon, unless she particularly wants us to look at the sediment.
Stop it. Okay, let's try it again, Ron. Let's move on.
Tell you the first thing I'm going to get when I go home is a high definition TV. My wife is going to kill me.
Copy that. Copy that. You can go ahead and start to move. So I'm going to go point 2. Copy that.
Just want to try and find some rock, guys.
Keep coming to the right. Keep pushing to the right.
Can we just go? Can we just go forward to look at those rocks straight ahead?
That's exactly where we're going.
Okay, Bobby and Mike, we're heading for those rocks directly ahead.
Are we heading west, Paul? Can you give us the compass bearing, please?
Compass bearing will be it's the same as the ROV heading, 240.
Thank you.
They look very sediment covered, whereas the others have looked very clean. We might see something on of a. If we can go up close and have a close look, please, chaps.
Yeah, Mike would like a zoom.
Yeah, request for a zoom if we have time, please.
And lasers on, maybe?
And lasers on. That's a cool photograph. A cool picture on that side. Mike, do you think you want a waypoint here?
No, that's okay. We don't need one.
Okay.
Unless Chris wants one.
Well, we could always have one if this is going to be the end of the dive anyway. They are cheap.
Yeah. Nav, can we have a waypoint here, please?
Let's make this 055, correct?
Affirmative. Who's that talking to me first? I will check. Mike, have you seen enough of these rocks? Let's have another quick look, please. I understand that.
Average. 10 meters remaining to move. Stop and ship.
If the pilot can point at the darkest part, that might be the most informative for the petrologists.
If you can point to the darkest part, that will help the petrologists, please. Thank you very much indeed, guys. Excellent day's work all told. I think very stimulating. Thank you very much for all your efforts, everyone involved. Okay, this is the Okeanos Explorer working in the Cayman Islands Exclusive Economic Zone, using the Okeanos Explorer and the Rob Little Hercules. And we have just completed dive 6 of this particular series in the Mid-Cayman Rise. The ROV is about to leave the seabed. We'll be on the deck in a couple of hours or so. Thank you for all those of you who listened in, and hope we might catch your attention tomorrow. And a very good evening to all those in the UK and Europe, and have a nice evening for those in America. So I'm signing off. This is Paul Tyler. Bye.
Bye, Paul.
O2 confirms.
Roger that. O2 deck has control. Coming up 15 meters a minute.
15 a minute.
Yeah, definitely.
Passing 40, 40 meters.
Also, could I have your depth reading again? Because I use it to compare Little Heart. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Appreciate that. There you go.
Hey, Jeff, I think your mic is open.
Copy that, Dive Super.
Passing 30, 30 meters. Passing 20, 20 meters.
Roger, 20 meters. Little Herc status, please.
Little Herc is at 27 meters. All's good.
Roger that.
Passing 10, 10 meters.
Roger, 10 meters.
Little Herc will be coming up about 20 degrees off the port quarter.
Roger that.